Hey guys, Tomboy61, and today we have a somewhat delayed review of the Hyuga, the all-new premium Tier 5 Japanese battleship. We'll be going over the stats, the build, all of that good jazz, and I'll be giving my opinion on it, and we'll be showing off a game in it. So, if that sounds like a good old time, make sure you stick around. Now, I have to say, this review is a bit of an oddity for me. Last week, when it released, I was on vacation, so I did not get to play the Hyuga, so I had to live vicariously through all of the other CCs and everyone else who was posting videos of this thing, and it did make me sad. It also made the rest of the games just feel that little bit different because, spoiler alert, when a new ship comes out, I am usually up that morning at like 5 or 6 a.m. waiting for it to be dropped in the ports to then go ahead and have some fun and play around with it so that I can start hopefully getting a game that I can save to commentate over once I'm done working in the afternoon. And usually it's a lot of fun just because those opening games, no one knows what to expect because most people haven't played against the ship yet. You don't know if the build you thought was optimal truly is optimal, right? There's a little bit of adventure there, and if it's a good ship, no one has really bought it yet and figured out that optimal build, so everyone's having this kind of a little bit of fun, and that's what I love about getting a ship super early as soon as it comes out. It's a joy that I get as a CC that I definitely never got as someone who wasn't a CC because I didn't really spend money too much on this game prior to being a CC. So with that said, Wargaming, thank you for giving me the ship for review purposes. I'm going to go ahead and review it now. But yeah, so this was just a little bit different of an experience for me, so I just kind of wanted to shout that out and do all of that. And with all of that said, let's now go ahead and start the review, and we're going to lead off with the commander. And my go-to commander for the Japanese battleships is Arpeggio of Blue Steel's Kirishima. She is a premium commander. Basically, she is the exact same layout and commander as Takagi. I run pretty much all the same skills. The only difference is her base trait. I prefer her base trait over Takagi's base trait, and that's the only reason I run her. So Takagi, basically, when you see this build, just know you can mirror everything else over and have Takagi, but I'm running Kirishima because I like her base trait more. And speaking of that base trait, what is it? Well, it's going to reduce the battleship's detectability time after firing the main gun. This is a fun skill to have, and when you pair it with someone like Kondo, who reduces the detectability of the ship, and a concealment mod, it allows for a pretty fun playstyle of if you play with an accurate ship, you kind of sit at the edge of your firing range, and then you are able to drop spot relatively easily and kind of play in those backlines. And it's a playstyle I really enjoy, and it's one of the unique things you can do with Kirishima. The other skills that we are running are Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Marksmanship, Reaching Out XXL, and Will to Rebuild. The two commanders we are running as inspirations are Scharnhorst and Kondo. If you don't have these two, or if you don't have Scharnhorst, I think you could easily replace that with Cunningham and get similar results. And as far as a base commander, instead of running Kirishima, we've already gone over it, you can run Takagi and get a very similar build. I'm just using the ability to drop off after firing, reducing that 20-second penalty just that little bit, just to make it, giving you the ability to kind of play more flexibly. And that's what I like. As far as the upgrades on this vessel, well, we are running aiming systems mod 1 and steering gears, though I could also see myself switching out for propulsion mods. This one is a totally up to you, though I like the steering gears because of the gun layout on this ship. We'll go ahead and talk about that later, but because of the gun layout and the armor layout, the steering gears seems to be the more effective of the two, or at least for me. Next, let's go ahead and talk consumables, and this is one of the Hyuga's special little secrets, special little pieces of sauce is contained within these consumables. First, you have that basic damage control party, 10-second duration, reload time, after 80 seconds. Repair party, you are going to repair 446 damage every second with a duration of 19.6 seconds and a reload time of 80, and you're gonna get 3 charges of those. Then you have the choice between the catapult, the spotter, and the enhanced secondary targeting duration. I'm running catapult fighter for mainly 2 reasons. One, it lasts longer, and if you want to use it to kind of peek over islands, it lasts the longest. And 2, the ship doesn't have the best AA, so that little bit of boost that you can get from a catapult fighter is absolutely worth it. Finally, the special sauce, the secret sauce of this ship is that main battery reload booster. It's going to boost the main battery reload speed by 50%. It's going to last for 15 seconds, so you can get like a shot and a half off of boosted main battery time. It's going to reload over 180 seconds, and you don't get just one, you get 2 of them, which is a huge number of them, and one that is definitely not the usual number you would expect to get. Like, usually it's the good old French ships that get these main battery reload boosters, and for this ship to get 2 of them, it does bring something special. So with all of that said, let's now go ahead and dive on in to the stats of the ship. So hit points, you're looking at 60,700 with an armor thickness between 16 and 350 millimeters. We'll go ahead and take a look at that armor, and oh boy, does this thing look exciting, and it absolutely is. That deck armor up front, 26 millimeters, which is nice at tier 5, but what I want to draw your attention to is that side armor. That side plating is 32 millimeters. So if you play this ship kind of facing in a rearward direction, that 32 millimeters of side plating can do a lot of work for you. On top of that, that deck armor is also up there in that 32 millimeter range. So you're going to be bouncing a bunch of shells there. You want to get this ship angled, and you want it to get hit in the side, because that center bit is just absolutely designed to ricochet shells. Taking a look at its citadel, is a wonky citadel, folks. That is a wonky citadel. If we go down to water level, we can see it is at the water line, so it doesn't stick out too far. So plunging fire is your what you're most vulnerable from, but you do have that pretty good armor protecting you there, making this ship a little bit more difficult to citadel, which is kind of nice. Now, you will absolutely get citadel if you're sitting flat broadside, but you do have a way to really protect yourself, and that's the armor. And like I said, is a fun ship to play. We'll get into that. Moving on from that, let's go ahead and finish out the armor with the torpedo reduction at 34%. Next up, it's the main battery, 6 2-barreled 356 millimeter guns. And I know what you're saying, 356s, that feels small, but at tier 5, they are still respectable, and they can still absolutely pump out damage. 12 shots is pretty good, or 12 rounds downrange for each shot is pretty fantastic. Firing range, 17.8 kilometers with a reload time of 29 seconds, giving you a shells per minute of 25. 180 time feels rather quick, but I think it's just because of the way I like to play the ship, where the rear is kind of facing my enemies, and you have 4 of those guns biased towards the rear. You're going to have a 33-second turret traverse, which is nice. HE damage on the shells, 5,700, giving you a DPM of 142,500, with a 25% chance to set fire. AP, well, you're going to be doing 11,220 damage for a DPM of 280,500. Secondaries, you have 4 2-barreled 127 millimeter guns and 16 1-barreled 140s. Both have a firing range of 4.2 kilometers. For those 127s, you're looking at a reload time of 6 seconds, a damage of 2,100, and an 8% chance to set fire. For those 140s, you're looking at an 8-second reload, 2,400 damage, and a 10% chance to set fire. AA range on the ship is okay, 5 kilometers, but its damage overall for AA cover is what lets it down. 40 minimum and 90 maximum. Max speed of the vessel is going to be 22.8 knots. with a turning radius of 750 meters and a rudder shift time of 12.8 seconds. Finally, the concealment of the ship, you're looking at 13.3 by sea, 11.1 by air, and 12.5 when firing in smoke. And with all that said, let's now go ahead and take a look at a game in this ship. So, Hyuga, what do I have to say about her? I think she is in the upper echelon of Tier 5 premium battleships. I think she is right up there with West Virginia, California, Queen Elizabeth, Warspite, those heavy hitters. Hyuga now reigns up there with them, and it just has to do with the fantastic accuracy of this ship and that main reload booster. And let's just watch this. First, we're like, oh, broadside Normandy, let's go ahead, take a shot. And those are looking good. We'll go ahead and wait on the reload. And, oh, excuse me, a broadside Emerald is right there. We got to pull the trigger. We got to use this main battery reload booster. We get a nice 10k salvo off on that Normandy. Emerald looking cocky because he's like, oh, there's no ship that can shoot at me. The big battleships have already shot their guns. And to that we say, well, Emerald, we'll see ya real soon, because he's gone and out of there. And that is exactly the power of the Hyuga. Those 356 millimeter guns allow you to take cruisers by surprise, especially with the two main battery reload boosters. They just let you dunk on cruisers when they make mistakes, when they go broadside, even when they think they've timed their shots because, oh, he just fired. You have that ability to surprise them, and you also have the accuracy to surprise them, and that's why I absolutely have been loving Hyuga. That is what you need to know about this ship here and now. Anyways, I do have to say this mid spawn on B does allow for some instant broadside access off to that right hand flank for D, for the Reds on D. So you may want to play a little bit slowly here if you are in that mid spawn, because if your team is able to spot the ships, as you saw right there, we had access to the broadsides of the Normandy, of that Dallas, and of course, may it rest in peace, that Emerald. So we're going to continue kind of supporting our ships off on the side over there, just because we want to be able to help to clear this side. We're kind of seeing what else is out there. There's another Hyuga right over there. Normandy, he's been like, oh, my two support ships are dead. Better start fleeing. And that's exactly what he does. We turn our attention to New Mexico, but our team deletes that New Mexico before we even have a chance. So we're like, okay, well, our airplane's over the front of over C or over B. We know there's no other ships in that area. So what do we want to do? Do we want to take the long way? No, we're in the Hyuga, baby. We are going to go ahead and push mid right here. We do have to be a little cautious. There's that Gorky kind of hugging the island right there, and we want to time him correctly, because if we can go ahead and pull around at the right moment, we are going to be able to take him off the board. We just want to make sure his attention is towards our friendly ships and not towards us, because while the Gorky doesn't have fantastic torpedoes, he does have relatively hard-hitting short-range torpedoes, and that gap right there is just asking for us to get torped by him if we push our advantage. Normandy took a nice salvo there from us. He doesn't have much health remaining, though. He's now out of range just because that island is blocking him. So we do also kind of want to keep our eye on that Normandy, because we want to finish him off. We've been kind of plinking at him for the full game. We've gotten a good chunk of health out of him. We got that Citadel recently. We want to finish him off. Gorky also just checking where he is, what his speed is looking like, because once again, he is what at this moment is the biggest threat to us as we push through mid. Our Icarus goes ahead and charges the Gorky, lets out a salvo of torpedoes, and while he is taken down, the Gorky is also being taken down by that Icarus. Normandy, broadside once again, just within our range. We're going to see if we can go ahead and teach him a lesson. Those shots are looking decent. We hit them. Beautiful. Now we have a sister Hyuga right next to us. We're going ahead and pushing through. And This isn't the typical Hyuga match, but this is absolutely a fun one where we get some pretty good hits and you're able to see the accuracy of the ship. Just not how I usually end up playing it, with kind of the rear facing. That is one of the things I do really enjoy about playing this ship, is the rear gun angles on this ship are absolutely fantastic. And with that 32mm side armor, being able to absorb some pretty heavy shells onto the sides is something that you can absolutely do. But we're now up to 3 kills, and they only have an aircraft carrier remaining, so we are going to start to steam towards him. The other high points of Hyuga, well, we've already talked about the fantastic accuracy. We've already talked about that main battery reload booster. Armor is fantastic. That 32mm side plating does the job, and because of the way it bulges, it does end up getting hit a lot, which does end up protecting you from a good chunk of things. But the thing that I do want to also just highlight is the main guns, the way that they are able to rotate relatively quickly, and their ability, and just the ability of the vessel to just put in the work. And that's exactly what the Hyuga does, and why I'm saying it is now in my upper echelon of tier 5 battleships, and one that I can absolutely wholeheartedly recommend if you're in the market for a tier 5 battleship. We go ahead and finish him off for the high caliber with a Citadel, and getting us 4 kills. And yeah, guys, that's Hyuga. Like the very basic short review, but an absolute fun one. Guys, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.